Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. And before I get into this featured player of the week, old school edition, I want to remind everyone to please subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. And for your audio fix, follow us on all the podcast aggregators. Those are anywhere you can listen to a podcast. Those are platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Pandora, wherever you can listen to a podcast. You can find us, Post Game Podcast, FFSN, in your search. Make sure that notification bell is on and download those episodes. Make sure you're following us too. You know, you want to make sure. And then tell a friend. Tell them that you listen to us. Tell them that we have a lot of media content on there. We're going to let the content do what it do. You know what I'm saying? This week's old school featured player of the week is one of my favorite players in Detroit Pistons history, and he didn't spend a lot of time here as we'd like, but this guy, he helped turn the franchise around after a long drought. I'm talking about none other than shooting guard Richard "Rip" Hamilton, and I can honestly say I was a fan of this guy while he was in college. He was a 4-year guy at college, I believe, and he was everything in the NBA as he was in college. And for for a time he played, he played in the league from 2002 to 2011. He was drafted by the Washington Wizards. I'm not going to go over his stats with the Wizards because I don't really care. Number 32, the mask man. Before he wore the mask, he was just a regular. I mean, I want to say he's just a regular guy, but he didn't always wear the mask. Wound up getting his nose broken in a game, and he wore the mask, and he did well, played well with the mask, and he just kept wearing it. Richard Hamilton, 6'6", 185 pounds. Of course, like I said, out of UConn, he was drafted in 1999, 7th pick overall. He was traded to the Pistons in 2002 for Jerry Stackhouse. Now, I will say this. I was not a fan of that trade. Get used to that. Don't like a lot of things that happens with management and players. But I get used to things and I can adjust fast. But I didn't agree with this trade because I thought Jerry Stackhouse was a dog and Rip wasn't what he was supposed to be at Washington. Just wasn't. But while he was here with the Pistons from 2002 to 2011, he played in 631 games. He averaged 18.4 a game, almost 4 assists, 3.4 rebounds a game, and he had a field goal percentage of 45%, and he had a three-point range of almost 35% and 85% free throw percentage. Now, let me say this. I call him the king of mid-range. They set up screens. He did curls. He catch that ball, and if he put it up, it was destined to go in. He was a very, very good volume shooter. He come off the pick. He run around screens just to get the ball, and he was constantly working. He was a good defender as well. But this guy was a catch and shoot guy. Just if you needed a bucket out of a timeout, they called Rip's number, and he answered the bell. And then he expanded his shooting to the three-point line. He was just one of those guys when he was hot that night. Pistons win those games when he's hot. And he's just that good of a shooter and a player. Uh, he was one of the integral parts of why the Pistons won a championship in 2004. Three-time NBA All-Star, 2006, 2007, 2008. He's the Pistons' all-time leading playoff scorer with 2,477 points. Uh, Eastern Conference champion, uh, 2004, of course. We won the ship then, and 2005. Uh, he was a key part of the going to work Pistons era. You know, if you haven't heard, it was that song, Got to Go to Work, that type thing. Uh, yeah, I didn't sing it like the song, but that's what it was. It was a go to work type of atmosphere and a thing going on around here when he played. When the Pistons took the court, it was time to go to work. Kind of, didn't want to be like the bad boys type of thing, but it was like, Detroit is known for its union workers, its factory workers, and they kind of took on that moniker of we're going to work when we get on the court. And when he played for that team, for those teams for Detroit, they were a hardworking defensive team, and Rip was going to get his points if he got in the ball. So that will do it. This is one of my favorite Pistons of all time, even though he didn't play a lot of years. But this guy was the epitome of volume shooter. Very, very good off the mid range. He was just a scorer, man. He could shoot, and he underrated defender. Once again, this man's name is Rip Hamilton. Subscribe to Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube.